Fucking Zig's getting me off now. Oh! That was a bad choice of words. Oh my god. Put that in the podcast. I think my laugh sounds like a dolphin. I'm just pissing him off now.
But Zig's just getting you off.
Oh, he was.
You're listening to the Hard Reset Show.
Hello and welcome to the Hard Reset Show. I'm your host Tyler, and joining me today is Julian.
Hello.
And the one, the only, the man who doesn't need an introduction, but I'm giving one anyways, Nathan.
Hello.
So, this is basically our general gaming show where we talk shit for games for a little bit. So, first off, we'll start off with the last games we bought. What's the last game you bought, Julian?
Last game I bought was Tales of the Abyss for the 3DS.
Are you enjoying it so far?
Immensely. Actually, so much that it's actually reintroduced the JRPG genre to me, which I kind of actually forgotten about.
Yeah, I recently bought that game as well, and I'm just in the beginning of it. I've played about like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's a lot of fun. Nathan, we know you're a big Tales fan.
Indeed.
So, have you enjoyed the 3DS port of Tales of the Abyss?
Yeah, I got about halfway through, and then my DS committed suicide. So, I'm very angry at the minute.
Your 3DS got fixed, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry for
Well,
breaking up.
it fixed itself
subject.
It fixed itself, and then it died again. So, no.
Are you gonna send that back, or?
I haven't decided yet. I might just throw it at a homeless person.
Oh, well, that makes most sense. Instead. So, Nathan, what's the last game you bought?
Tales of Grace's F for the PlayStation 3.
I'm jealous. I want that one.
Yeah. We're all about Tales here.
Damn right.
Keeping the RPG trend, the last game I bought was okay, let me try to say this name right. Disgaea 3: Absence of Detention. I did an unboxing recently for the for the site, and I like mispronounced the name about 20 times, so I had to keep doing takeovers.
What'd you call it?
Just every possible way you could missay Disgaea. I was like Disgaea.
That's what usually a lot of people call it.
I was just every time, and I was like, "Fuck! I know what it's called. I know how to say it, and I keep mispronouncing it." And it was so frustrating, but I finally got it done for the site. Although unboxing for Vita games are so anticlimactic, as I note in the video, it's just like an empty case of glue.
Yeah, no manuals, a tiny ass game card.
What's bigger, the Vita games or the or DS/3DS games?
3DS games are big.
Are they?
They're literally about twice as big.
Oh, Vita games look taller, but like thinner.
No, they're actually shorter still.
Oh, okay. They must be really fucking small then.
Yeah, I'll take a photograph and put it on the site sometime.
Do a comparison of two games.
I'll do the 3DS, the DS, and the Vita games.
Fair enough.
And I don't think I have any UMDs left because fuck UMDs.
Well, UMDs are pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
Compared to like DS and 3DS and Vita.
Yeah.
I remember how fancy they were back in the day when they were first introduced.
It's like, whoa, it has a case, and it's like
never gonna get scratched.
And it's in the case, and holy shit.
And it has 3-hour load times for a lot of games.
I mean, it is pretty. It was like just the visual aspect of having a disc in a portable was pretty fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
But it was better in theory than execution.
True.
Much like most of Sony's ideas are better in theory than execution, like the PSP Go and.
Well, the Vita's the only exception for me. It's the only one that seems to actually live up to the hype.
But I still don't really get the rare touchscreen, but we'll get to that later. So what games have you guys been playing currently, Julian?
Um, I've mainly right now just been playing Tales of the Abyss. On the side, kind of gotten back into trying to beat Lost Planet 2 ever since the announcement of Lost Planet 3, which I'm pretty psyched about.
Yeah, how do you feel about the developer switch? It's not developed by Capcom
Yeah,
internally.
it's Spark Unlimited now.
Oh yeah, they made
They
Legendary.
yeah, they to a lot of people they have a very sketchy library of games in the past. I know Turn of Liberty or some shit like that was one of the games they made, and of course Legendary. I actually owned Legendary. I beat it. It could have been so much better than what was actually produced. I see why it pretty much bombed on release. It has a really cool concept behind it. The music's pretty kick-ass. It's like the one game I can play where the music actually makes me want to kill everything in sight. Um, the story worked well. The characters could have been done better, but the voice acting was really top notch and stuff like that. And some of the set pieces were really cool. It's just it was laggy. The Unreal Engine was very dated on pretty much when they put their own content into it. It looked nothing to what it should have looked like for its time. Um, it didn't get too repetitive to me because I'm more of a corridor crawler game type person, like games like Doom, Quake, Conduit, and stuff like that. I enjoyed it for that fact, but to a lot of other people, they were, to them it got boring, repetitive. I just think that with a big IP like Lost Planet in their hands, they can give it justice. I have faith in them. I feel like if they were to be given a second chance on a Legendary 2, it could, no pun intended, it could be a legendary game. But
Yeah, that
with Lost Planet 3, I have high hopes for it. From the screenshots we've seen from it so far, it looks very westernized for compared to the previous games. I'm just worried about what I've heard is that part of the game, quote unquote, is supposed to be inside a big mech from a first person view. I'm hoping by parts they mean 10% because the whole game, what I loved about it was the whole third person perspective. To me, it felt like a next generation Jet Force Gemini from the Nintendo 64. Grab a big ass gun and kill all the insects inside and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was gonna ask you about. Like just for people who haven't played any of the Lost Planet games, do you just want to give like a general overview of the gameplay in Lost Planet?
yeah, Lost Planet 1 and 2 are slightly different in the terms of atmosphere they have, but in general, what the games are is they're a third person shooter. The first one is more you're a character who's pretty much the whole theme of the game itself is that Earth, the stereotypical Earth is about to be destroyed, blah blah blah. So they go to colonize another planet, which is EDN. Pretty much as the generation goes on, it's a frozen planet that can barely sustain life, but eventually they find a heat source from these creatures named the Acrid. So, they've realized by killing the Acrid, they can harvest this heat source to actually sustain life on the planet. So pretty much they colonize from there. And then in the first one, pretty much your dad is one of the commanders for, I forgot exactly what the quote unquote army is called, but when a huge Acrid ends up breaking into the base and pretty much destroying everything. So your dad gets killed while trying to protect you as you jump in after he tells you to get out. And so you lose your memory somewhat. You wake up with a bunch of random strangers who found you. You were frozen in the ice. And pretty much you just go from there to find out what happened. In the whole first game, you're just traversing a frozen planet pretty much alone. So it has that feeling of desolation and isolation. So it has really good atmosphere to it. Me personally, I got halfway through the first because I don't know, it felt like it got a little bit repetitive, but I still enjoyed the fact that like I said before, those of you who've played older third-person shooters like Jet Force Gemini or Body Harvest on Nintendo 64, you'll feel slightly familiar with it. And then, of course, the game introduces rival factions such as the Snow Pirates, who keep trying to stop you, and they try to do plot twists with stuff like that. And then in Lost Planet 2, it's pretty much like a whole bunch of years ahead, where as more Acrid die, it starts changing the climate. So forests start sprouting out everywhere, deserts. So it's starting to turn a little bit more like Earth. and then
Yeah.
category G acrid start appearing. These are absolutely massive acrid, which are very game changing. And what's different in Lost Planet 2, it is very heavy on the multiplayer aspect. It's a lot more tactical. If you're playing single player, you have, I believe, 3 or 4 AI controlled players. They're not the brightest bulbs in the bunch, but they pretty much get their job done. And then, of course, you can play multiplayers with others, which was a very big thing for it. A lot of people liked it for that. But in what's different in the second is that, unlike the first where you're alone with a few other people in your group, this one you're with a bunch of different armies, just going through trying to destroy Acrids and go against snow pirates and stuff like that. So pretty much it's the same concept, except later on. There are also, as I mentioned, Last Planet 3, you'll be in a giant mech. In the previous Lost Planet games, the ones that are out now, you do get control of mechs. I forgot the name. Their name escapes me right now, but sometimes they have like rocket launchers or like giant machine guns that you can also detach from them and carry with your characters. Another thing your characters can do is that you can use a grapple hook to go up cliffs, scale buildings and stuff like that. Also, if you're close to an enemy, you can actually shoot them with it, and it's actually pretty funny because sometimes they actually die or get knocked back or something like that. And then also you can use it, say, if one of your, I know it's very useful in the second, if one of your partners is in one of the mechs, you can shoot the grappling hook at it so you can attach yourself to it, and then you jump up to just hold off to the side. So you're like an extra gun to that person there. So that was a pretty cool thing. But yeah, generally it's just, I don't want to say it's a basic third-person shooter because to me personally it's not. It's very unique compared to a lot of the other games out there. Like it's nothing like Gears of War. For those of you who have played that, I'll say give it a shot. One of the problems a lot of people have with Lost Planet 2 though is that they said it was very buggy. I've not really encountered that many game-breaking bugs in it. You might get some lag here and there, but overall the engine is very smooth. It does really great graphical effects. Category G acrid battles in Lost Planet 2 are incredible to behold. Just taking them down is one of the best things about the game. So I've played the whole thing in single player so far. I've really enjoyed myself. I can only imagine a multiplayer would be even better. So the games aren't even that expensive right now. They're like $20 or less. So I'll say for sure, give them a try if you're interested in Lost Planet 3. And till then, I'll be eagerly awaiting for it next year.
So yeah, Lost Planet 3 is definitely on our list of anticipated games. It was just announced at the recent Capcom Captivate event, and I think it was in Greece. So Nathan, what have you been playing recently?
Tales of Grace's F. Obviously, I'm like halfway through my second playthrough now.
And I think you said you'll have a review up on the site when you're done?
Yeah, I'm going to try and get my second playthrough done first.
So anything else other than Tales of Grace's F, or is that all you've been playing?
I've been playing a bit of Pokemon Ruby as well. Restarted that recently.
Ooh. Okay, quick everybody. What's everyone's favorite starter Pokemon from Ruby? Jolene, you go first.
I never played Ruby.
I'm gonna
Slap
cry.
yourself. Slap yourself. Nathan, what you...
I want to hear it! I want to hear it!
Yeah, slap. You got a mic on. Slap. Harder. Just one more time. Harder. He slapped himself. What an idiot.
That was me. That was me smacking my hand, asshole.
I knew it was. I could tell.
Oh,
well. Or maybe it could have been me smacking my ass, but you never know.
Ooh, smack that ass. Okay. Now on to the grand finale, what I've been playing. So as I said, I recently got Disgaea 3, Absence of Detention. I started that today. I'm still in the tutorial process. It's your standard strategy RPG, and it's pretty fun so far. I like the dialogue's pretty funny. And it's got Prinny, and what's not to love about Prinny? Little penguin guy. Everybody loves penguins, right, Nathan?
Yep.
And I've also been playing Ghost Trick. I've been replaying that. I'm going to do an Let's Play of that after I finish up Yo Noid, which I think I have like 3 more parts to be uploaded. So look forward to that on the site this week. We should be finishing that up. Thank God. It's actually been a really fun game, Yo Noid. Um, like the platforming segments are a hell of a lot of fun. But after the end of each every other stage, you do a pizza eating contest, Julian, and it's like a card game where like each card will have a number of pizzas, and you just try to like outmatch the other guy's cards, and it's just really boring. It kind of
So,
reminds me of what's the game? Sega Master System mascot Wonder. Is it Wonder Boy? No, not Wonder Boy. Oh, who was Sega's Alex Kidd? Yes, Alex Kidd. Isn't in the first Alex Kidd game like every boss battle is just like a rock paper scissor match.
That sounds like the best game ever.
like entire level, and then the boss battle's totally random in Alex Kidd, and it's just so ridiculous. And it kind of reminds me of that because it's so anticlimactic. Like the final boss battle is you eating more pizzas than another guy.
That sounds like the best game ever.
and they're all dressed like the Noid. Like there's these alternate Noids. Like, the whole game makes no sense. And I didn't find out that there was a intro if you kept paused at the title screen for long enough. And I added that to like the 7th Let's Play or something. But so you can see the intro, and the intro is like the mayor's found out that people are trying to do shit, and then it's like only one man can stop them, the Noid. When has the Noid become a hero? He just like wrecks havoc and steals pizzas. And, like, he has a magic yo-yo in the game. That's his big attack. He has magic yo-yo.
I wish I had a magic yo-yo.
And the whole story behind this game's localization is that it's kind of like Super Mario Brothers 2 for North America. I believe in Europe, right? Was the Lost Levels released in Europe initially?
I
Nathan?
don't think so. I have no idea.
I think it was Japan only for the longest time. And so what they did for this game, it was originally in Japan. It was a ninja game, a ninja platformer, which actually makes sense because you get ninja magic. I don't know where the Noid found out how to do magic. He can like freeze everything on screen somehow. Must be all that pizza you eat. So apparently the moral of the game is if you eat a lot of pizza, you can freeze shit. So Nathan, get on it. And so they took this ninja game, and Capcom wanted to bring it to North America. And they thought, hey, let's get Domino's in on this and put the Noid in it. And that's how the greatness of Yo Noid was made. So I'll probably have a review up for Yo Noid after I finish posting all the LP episodes. So, Julian, there's something you wanted to talk about very passionately, and that was the future of portable gaming.
yes. Which is a very interesting topic, and on a lot of forums, iOS versus actual dedicated handhelds and stuff like that, and pretty much how another topic with that is digital versus physical, and how handhelds like the Vita are trying to push for digital by lowering prices on PSN for the games, which isn't really even that significant, and by offering bigger memory sticks, but at very high costs. As the years go by, there's all this doom and gloom about how, oh, well, I haven't gotten any street passes on my 3DS because no one has one, and no one wants one because everyone's busy playing Angry Birds or whatever. And of course, the accessibility of, you know what, I have an iPhone, I can just randomly buy a game and just play it on there. I don't have to carry something separate with me, along with the hassle of cartridges or anything like that. That's just the general issue with it. I mean, really, I don't really care because I don't even take these things out of my house. But of course, for everyone else, it seems to be a pretty big deal on it. And then, of course, with the new Tegra 3 GPUs coming out on the tablets, and who knows, iPhone 10 in 2 years or whatever you want to call it, can supposedly run games like Lost Planet 2 and all these other high quality, PS3 360 grade games,
I
graphics
don't
on
really
them.
think it matters what it can play when you don't have any buttons.
Exactly. And that's where more of the issues stem from is there's actually, I'm going to try to look it up right now, but a company was actually they're actually making a PC gaming tablet that has buttons built into like these um they literally look like Wii nunchucks, but with buttons on them attached to both sides of it. It looks very awkward. Supposedly they were able to get Skyrim to run on very high settings, but it was laggy. But that was one of the things they were hyping up on it. It can do this. It has buttons, so gamers are gonna want it. And then of course, with the iPad and stuff like that. The big problem just comes from if you're using a touchscreen for buttons, you can't even really see what the hell is going on in your games if you're playing on, say, your basic iPhone or, your Android device or anything like that. And then, of course, the 3DS and the Vita have physical buttons. It's just a lot more Well, I was actually going to say they have longer lifespan for battery-wise, but that doesn't really seem to be the case since both of them seem to last at like 5 hours tops with battery life. And people are saying that iOS games don't have as much depth as dedicated handheld games such as Mario or games like Uncharted Golden Abyss and Rayman Origins and stuff like that. And they're what iOS gamers are considering the hardcore, quote unquote hardcore games, are games like Infinity Blade. There's been, other ports of pretty big name games too, like Dead Space. I think
Ghost
Dead Space,
Trick.
Ghost Trick. I know right now, aren't they making like a Mass Effect game for the iOS? Because I know they already made one, but
I think it's like an app though. I don't think it's like a full Mass Effect game. I don't think it's.
They don't make full games for the iOS. They're just like small versions of actual games. There's Resident Evil 4, but it's not actually Resident Evil 4. It's some stupid, not Resident Evil 4. I don't know.
I know they have like a Super Street Fighter 4, but it's really simplified because you can't. There's no way you can do a 6-button fighter game.
Exactly.
And then have like Call of Duty, like the zombies mode.
Yeah, that was very awkward to play. I attempted that a few times, but it just wasn't working with me.
I remember on a forum once somebody tried to tell me that I couldn't say that Soul Calibur was going to be worse on the iOS than it would be on like a actual system, and they kept arguing that I couldn't say that unless I've played it. Although there's no way for it to fully emulate an arcade stick. You can't plug an arcade stick into your iPhone. Okay?
Well,
I think
there is.
There is stuff like that actually.
Yes,
Are you
there is.
kidding me?
Which,
oh my god!
which I'm gonna get to that topic eventually. But yes,
Well, this is not fucking portable, then, is it? If you have to carry around a fucking
exactly. And that goes back to the depth in games. Yeah, one of the things that really are hurting the 3DS and Vita right now is of course the very low price for your basic iOS and Android game. It's like $1 to $6. Yes, these are not Skyrim or anything like that type quality, but to a lot of consumers who are just looking for something quick to play and go, because it's I know most people are like that, because back in like high school and stuff like that, people who I knew who actually owned a DS or anything like that, that weren't actual gamers, were like, they would play the game for like 5 seconds and never touch it again. And these kinds of games are perfect for them because they can just pick it up, stop, go back to what they're doing and whatnot, and just play it randomly. And of course, how open source Android is, and I guess you could say, because how developers can also make stuff for iOS and publish apps and make so much money off of it and whatnot. Because right now the Vita is going to do something like that called the PlayStation Suite or something like that. I'm just wondering how open it's going to be, but I honestly think if Nintendo and Sony were more open about their market to indie developers and stuff like that. And I don't mean games like Limbo or anything like that. No, like anyone could develop anything for the iOS or the Android, and it would just get posted up and just they go from there. And that's what I want. I feel like if I think the Vita has the perfect capability for that, as well as the 3DS, I guess. But I just see more potential on it for the Vita because it has a bigger screen. But I honestly think a lot of those iOS games and Android games, if that kind of market was brought to the PlayStation Store and the DS Store, it could really bring a lot of customers and could make them a lot of money. It could put a new audience on the handhelds as well, but that seems to be a very neglected thing by both companies right now. I really don't understand why. I will say, out of my honest opinion, I do think after the Vita and the 3DS, I am really worried about what it's looking like past then. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, nothing can replace dedicated handhelds. Well, you can't really say that with the way a lot of the stuff is going right now. It's going to be really hard to tell.
Also, just a few points. You were talking about indie games, and I just want to give props to Microsoft because they have an excellent indie arcade, and it's great for developers to just get their game out there. And one of the games was 1,000 Spikes, and that's now coming out for the 3DS and Wii U. They're redoing it, remaking it a lot better, and so Microsoft's done a great job supporting indie developers, and as you were saying about indie games coming to the 3DS or Vita, Nintendo actually rejected the Binding of Isaac coming out for the 3DS, so that's not helping.
Yeah, and the reason behind it was stupid because of, it's too religious and whatnot. Okay, Nintendo, that doesn't really matter if you have, and there's not just one audience. There's a wide. You released Conker's Bad Fur Day for the Nintendo 64, for Christ's sake. It makes no difference in today's day and time what you release on your systems. It's if a lot of people wanted Binding of Isaac, you know what? Release it. That'll attract more different kind of audience to your system. Once again, it'll make more hardware sales, help other developers make, I don't want to say more mature games in that sense, but, make games with different narratives. But if you're just going to not see everything with, we don't like that kind of content, we're not going to do it, then your store isn't going to really take off. And to be honest, it really hasn't, because with the Wii, they hyped up the Virtual Console. Okay, they have like 10% of the Nintendo 64 library and every other library on there, and they've pretty much seemed to have abandoned it lately. And then with the 3DS right now with their Virtual Console, it's extremely bare bones of what I can get on it. And, there's all this hype about, we're going to put this on there and that and that and that. And I highly doubt that. And Nintendo has really failed to deliver with their eShop for me this generation. I've pretty much forgotten about it. I don't really care about it because they're never going to live up to what they hyped for it. And that's something I really hope the Wii U fixes upon, if they hope to get that, once again, quote unquote, third party support they really want. Because if they don't provide the kind of online experience that the bigger developers are looking for, that could once again mean trouble for them next generation.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say about the Virtual Console, I've really been enjoying it for the 3DS because I had a Game Boy Color, but I haven't played a lot of the older, original Game Boy games. And they've been adding, I've bought every 3DS Virtual Console game that's come out, and I've been having a blast with a lot of them that I haven't even heard of before until they came out. And they do have more releases in Japan and Europe. I really wish they start bringing some more into North America, because I know they have like Wario Land and some other fun games out there that hasn't come to North America yet, but I've definitely been enjoying it, and I think the eShop's been a hell of a lot better than the DSiWare or the Wii shops they were with content-wise. Nintendo's been putting out quality games for it. They had
Pushmo.
But they had Pushmo, the Samurai game.
Have you played that Dylan's Rolling Western or whatever it's called?
I haven't played it, but I've heard mixed things. A lot of people loved it, and a lot of people didn't like it. Julian, have you?
It looks interesting.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does. Go on,
I've,
Julian.
I've I've seen what it looks like. I haven't really put much money into investing on eShop games. It looks okayish, not really much like anything I would actually want to spend money on.
It's such a unique game. It's like a mix of tower defense and like a third person combat game, and it's really just a unique blend of styles. I mean, you can really tell this is like the Nintendo way of tower defense games. They're not just gonna do something by the numbers. And one thing that they have been doing with their eShop releases is experimenting with the games, and that's what I really liked. Like, while Freaky Forms wasn't like the greatest game, it did have some really cool ideas and character creation. You could create your own characters, your own worlds, and I thought that was kind of fun. And Pushmo, of course, that's a experimental block puzzle game. And they just had a new release just a week ago in Speed Through, which is a sequel to a WiiWare game, which has been getting great reviews. So we'll probably check that out soon on the site. And it's also called Quetzal's Corridors in the U.S., I believe. And so they've been supporting the eShop pretty well so far, and the 3D classics have been really great in my opinion, except for Urban Champion. I mean, why would they make a remake of that? Because Urban Champion's shit.
I've been enjoying Kirby's Adventure. That's my favorite Kirby game, so that it makes me happy they actually have that on there.
Yeah, I had that for the Wii Virtual Console, but I never beat it. But I got it for the 3DS and I beat it, and really is a wonderful game. I really adored it. And one more second on Urban Champion. I mean, it's shit, but I actually enjoy it. I think there's something wrong with me. I mean, it's just repetitive. You just punch, and you have like.
You still have that strange urge to play it.
I don't know. It's just like if I want to play something while watching TV, it takes like no. You don't really have to look at the screen. You just have to glance at it occasionally. So just if I'm watching like a sports event, and I'll just pop in fucking Urban Champion, and dick around in that a little bit. And so I've been enjoying the eShop. And speaking of today, 3D Kid Icarus came out if you didn't pre-order the game in the North American eShop. So check that out. It's a pretty difficult game, though, the original Kid Icarus. But I think it's definitely worth checking out. So, Nathan, what's your thoughts on the future of portable gaming? Do you think it's in danger? Or
No.
what's going on there?
No, it's not. It's a pointless argument.
And I think one thing that people forget to say is that these $1 games on the App Store, sure, the consumer gets a great deal. But you got to think of the game developers, because for every Angry Birds that sells, millions of copies and is making the developer a ton of money, there's like 5,000 other games that sell like 10 copies. So you got to think that over.
Yeah, and once again, like it's been stated before, a lot of the games are very deathless. Some of them are just literally feel like they have no soul to them. When I used to have my iPod Touch, I've encountered several of those where after like 5 minutes, I'm like, I don't know why this game exists right now.
Well, that can happen on any platform, but
It happens far too much on the iOS.
Yeah, it's just comparable to the shovelware that you would find all over the Wii in the DS libraries, where there's literally a giant row dedicated to Imagine Babies.
I fucking love Imagine Babies.
Some other
Horses 3D.
That doesn't surprise me, Tyler.
I like babies. Come on.
But yeah, like once again with me, I'm really hoping the best for the future of handheld gaming. I've supported it and I will continue to support it this generation with buying the first edition bundle for the PS Vita and the Ambassador 3DS last year. And of course buying all the big titles and stuff like that, supporting developers. I just hope that they can find their ways around what could potentially hinder them in the future. Like once again, a lot of people seem to have forgotten that. I'm trying to find a way to phrase it properly. It's just, I guess it's the pricing too. A lot of the stores I've seen have an overload of Vitas. I don't think I've ever seen a store that's been sold out of them, which is a shame because it's a very nice handheld. I just feel that with the price drop of the 3DS, it scared a lot of consumers into thinking, well, if I just wait literally like 3 months, it's going to drop down half the price. And obviously, the 3DS wasn't that expensive to produce, so I honestly think it should have been the price point that it's at now in the beginning, and it would have done so much better. As well as the Vita, $250 in this kind of economy, which I don't really think is too bad right now, but is a bit steep for that, especially considering that the overpriced memory cards and stuff like that, which I've heard a lot of them are being bundled with free memory cards right now, so I don't think that's really that big of an issue. But, it feels very risky to put your money into that. So I have a feeling that in the future, a lot of the new handhelds will just pretty much support digital downloads better, coming with internal memories. Like, I think the PSP Go had a good idea of what it could have done, but it was very poorly executed, seeing as everyone who's originally owned a PSP, pretty much all their UMDs were useless on it. And
that's pretty much Sony's status quo. Good in concept, in execution. The PSP Go was great for one reason, because it really helped Sony get their shit together on their online shop.
Yeah.
Because they figured out, if we price drop them, they'll sell better, even though it's only like I think 10% if I recall correctly. And they just learned a lot from the mistakes. Although it was a mistake that the Vita didn't have any. It should have had like 16 gigabytes memory already in it. I think that would have made a lot more sense.
It really should have. And one thing that I really did like about the PSP Go is that the 16 gigabyte of internal storage it had was literally enough for most of the games that you would want in your library, because the games ranged from about 100 megabytes to games like Dissidia, Final Fantasy up to like 1 gigabyte. So
yeah, the biggest game I had was 1 gigabyte for the PSP.
Depending on the games you have and stuff like that, it could fill up a decent chunk of the memory. Could actually take a decent chunk of the games in your library, which was pretty good. And then, of course, the Vita games are a lot bigger. And one of the things that I've actually spoken to you about before, Tyler, that bothers me is that I don't remember specifically which game I had that did this. I think it was Uncharted or another game, but some of the games literally have like 300 megabyte patches that they want to download. And on a basic 4 gigabyte memory stick, that is not going to do you any good. And especially for those that are going all digital by buying the 32 gigabyte card, that thing, each game, depending on which one, I think the smallest one right now is Super Stardust Delta, which is about like 500 megabytes. But other games are reaching up in like the 2 gigabytes and higher. That could fill that up pretty quickly, especially if we're hoping in the future of the Vita, there's a lot more online capable games that are better executed than Unit 13, to say. They're going to need those big patches and all this other stuff, and it could fill up pretty quickly. Of course, another thing too, DLC, we all know it's going to come. That's going to take up more space. So I just foresee this train of disaster for the future for that, which really worries me, but we can only keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't end up that way.
Yeah, I've already spent $30 on DLC for the Vita so far. It was all from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, but
I am disappointed in you. Don't support such garbage.
Well, I really wanted the Phoenix Wright alternate costume.
Who doesn't want Phoenix Wright alternate costumes?
Yeah, it was from Trials and Tribulation when he was a kid. He has that pink.
Oh, the pink sweater. If you don't buy that, you're technically a racist.
Yeah, I could have bought just the pack for like $4, but I'm like, it would kind of annoy me not having everybody's alts.
Yeah.
So I took the $20 bite. And the one thing that did piss me off about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom was that the two characters that were DLC for the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Are they still DLC?
Yeah, they were $5 a piece too. So that was the
What?
10 extra dollars.
That's great. That's classic Capcom.
Epic Capcom. But it is a good game. I ended up. So with all the DLC, it ended up being $70, which isn't that bad, I guess, for fighting games nowadays.
I imagine in Capcom's building, they have a poster that says rules, and the rules are DLC, make everything. Fuck off, Mega Man.
Put out half the game and sell it later.
Well, the good news for Vita owners is that we're getting a great deal for Street Fighter X Tekken because we're gonna have
Tekken.
exclusive shit that everybody else will have to pay for. So it's the other way around next time. Woohoo!
Fuck that game. I don't like that game.
You just don't like Fat Mega Man, huh?
I've played it. I've played as Fat Mega Man, and I hate it even more now.
Well, why you gotta diss Fat Mega Man?
Because it's not Mega Man. It's some fat dude cosplaying.
Well, he's kind of cute, little Fat
No,
Mega
he's
Man.
not.
It
You
is
love
not
it.
legit. You do not diss Mega Man by dressing up as him, unless you are the.
No, it's
fucking
not Mega Man. It's a fat dude cosplaying as Mega Man. It's not
It's
Mega
Rock
Man.
Man.
It's not Rockman. It's Fat Man.
Fat Man. Okay. One final point on the future of handheld gaming, and this is why I don't think iOS will ever replace it because the developers just aren't making as much money on it. They can't make money on $1 games. It's not going to happen because
The problem with iOS games is that the developers don't really care. They make a game, and then someone else makes the exact same game, slightly changed, and that is iOS. 70
And-
copies of the same game with different fucking textures or whatever.
yeah, and I mean, people. The one thing that's really pissed me off about just mobile gaming is that they've ruined the price points so much by going to $1 that people think like a $20 game is expensive now, and they complain.
Yeah.
Like they'll complain if a digital game is $10. You can't just judge a game by its price just because it's on like the eShop or something. You have to judge it by the content in it. Like
Exactly, and go ahead.
I was talking about Mutant Muds. I think it's $7 on the eShop, and somebody said, "Oh, that's way too pricey for a digital title." I'm like, "What?" I mean, I played the game. It's 10 solid hours, and I will have a review this week of Mutant Muds, and it's 10 solid hours. It's like 40 levels, if I think it's even more than that. There's no $7 is a steal for that much gameplay. Pushmo is like $5 or $6. That's tons of hours of entertainment. Like these games, the proper games, you get so much out of, and who cares if it's digital? You know? I mean, and then they bitch about the virtual console games being too expensive. I don't think like $4 that much for a Game Boy game, especially with like proper save, restore points, and everything.
Yes.
I don't think people are just like
states.
save
Save-
state. I mean,
That's the best thing I've ever seen Nintendo do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was surprised that they put any of that in there.
one thing that is so great, I don't know if you guys have played any of the Game Gear games on the 3DS, but the emulator they made for the Game Gear games is phenomenal. I am in love with that emulator. It's great. If you guys haven't seen it, it's so much better than for the Game Boy games.
I've been meaning to pick up Sonic Triple Trouble, so probably
It's
eventually I'll see.
Not
When
good.
when I have a working 3DS, I'll probably pick up Sonic Triple Trouble.
Don't. It's shit.
No, it's Sonic.
I've played it before when I owned Sonic Gems Collection on the GameCube. It was pretty alright. I can see myself playing it on my 3DS.
They should put that on the box. Pretty
It's
alright.
pretty alright.
Such a ringing endorsement. I think the real gem out of the 3 games that's been released, it was Shinobi for the Game Gear, Sonic Triple Trouble.
Shinobi's on there.
Yeah, Shinobi and
Shinobi.
Dragon Crystal, which
I
is
don't know. I
dungeon-
played one. I played a Shinobi game on the fucking what is it? On the Mega Drive Ultimate Collection, and you're just like, fuck yes, I'm a ninja.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty fun game, and they also have Shinobi for the 3DS. That was a pretty good job by Kryptonite Games. And what was I saying? Oh yeah, Dragon Crystal, which is like a old school dungeon crawler. It's definitely the gem of the bunch. It was also released for the Mega Drive as well, and I might be doing a Let's Play of the Mega Drive version in the future. And it's a lot of fun. I think that was definitely the hidden gem in the Game Gear collection. But yeah, if you haven't checked out any of the Game Gear games yet, definitely just download Dragon Crystal just to check out the emulator. Like any of those games is worth like $4 just to check out the awesome emulator they have, because it's just so much more full featured. You can remap the buttons. Why do the Game Boy games not have that? You can
Because
remap all
nobody-
buttons.
Why do you need it with Game Boy games?
Well, some people like to play Mario. They'd rather have the controls different, like the B and A. They'd rather have it like I think. Oh, how the hell's the 3DS set up? X and B, I guess. What's the
You
one
know-
on the left? What's the button on the
Y, I think. Is it
Y? And
I don't-
they'd rather have
I
it Y and B.
You know,
instead.
one thing I would kill for the 3DS is that I'm pretty sure it's capable of doing so. Is N64 emulation of the Wii Virtual Console games. I'd be pretty psyched if they were ever pretty much put that on the 3DS. I guess you could argue there would be control issues since obviously there aren't enough buttons to cover everything on a Nintendo 64 controller. But I'd be pretty excited if they put Paper Mario on that. Although I am excited for the new game, but the original if I could play it on my 3DS.
Yeah, and while we're
3D
talking about the
classics Pokemon. 3D
don't get me started.
classics Pokemon.
That would be awesome.
Very idea makes me want to die of
If they put
pleasure.
3D Pokemon Crystal on there, I would jizz all over my screen.
No,
Okay, on.
classics. No, red, blue, or yellow. 3D classics Pokemon Yellow. I would die. I would not
And-
survive that announcement.
One more thing, just to wrap up all this virtual console talk. I think on the Wii U, if they let you play the virtual games on the controller, I think that would be so awesome. Because,
would be.
yeah, you wouldn't even have to like have the full screen. You can just play it on the couch. And I'm so excited for the Wii U. I can't wait for it to come out. Mainly because my Wii won't play my goddamn dual layer games. So I have Metroid Prime Trilogy and Xenoblade Chronicles just sitting there every day. I look at it and it just mocks me. So I'm waiting
I
for
should
the Wii U to
record
play.
me playing Xenoblade and just start laughing, and that should be the video.
Well, there's new content for the site right there, probably coming in the next few days.
Damn right.
Just off-cam footage of Zig playing Xenoblade for like 10 seconds and then laughing into the camera hysterically.
And you know, on a quick note on the Wii U, I'm also pretty psyched on it as well. At first, I was actually pretty disappointed in its overall concept. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because I feel like it's not going to be as significantly powerful as what's available this generation or anything like that, but I don't know, just I feel like it was lacking. But the more I hear about it and the more I think about it, I feel like, you know, once again, compared to all the rumors that all the other next-gen consoles are going to be doing all this negative stuff to the consumer, Nintendo's staying true to what it does, and that makes me pretty excited that I know I'm not going to run into any kind of issues, you know, with anything, just hoping they don't get anything like the Red Ring of Death, but they're not going to, it just, from what I'm hearing about the other consoles, I feel like they're not going to dictate what you can do on it. You know, charge you for an online service that you should be getting for free. You know, maybe the rumor about locking out used games might be true for the other consoles, but Nintendo wouldn't do that. And, you
But
know,
they
other
will
little-
region lock it. Fuckers.
yes, they will. They will region lock it.
Nintendo.
But, you know, of course, you know, the announcements of Pikmin 3. Nathan, you know how I feel about this, but even the rumors arising that Nintendo's actually going to be reviving F-Zero,
Oh god.
I don't even know. I think my body would just implode at the news of a new F-Zero. Like, I hold that series so dear to my heart. It's just so disappointing to know that the last F-Zero game, F-Zero Climax on the Game Boy Advance, never even got released in the States, and that was back in 2004. And from there, the whole series has been dead. And for that,
If you haven't heard it, Miyamoto said in an interview that the Wii U seems powerful enough to give the next proper F-Zero installment.
yes, I felt like the Wii wouldn't be able to do that, but I feel like that leap from F-Zero X to F-Zero GX, I will never forget it. I was just like, even now when I play F-Zero GX, it still looks way past its time. And I'm hoping that the Wii U gives me that same impression with everything else, where I can be like, this is next generation, for visual wise, this is the next generation and the next leap. You know, Pikmin 3, I just feel like Pikmin 3 was another one of their more graphical type games, which I'm pretty psyched to know that that's coming to the Wii U. I'm pretty sure they'll do what they can to make it go ahead and make it show off the system's capability, which I know they can do really well. As well as F-Zero, quote unquote, if they're ever to make a new one, it could really show off what the system could do. So I'm pretty excited for its future. I know as well they're going to show off a new Mario game. It's going to be based off of the new Super Mario Brothers Mii they showed off last year, which disappoints me because I like new Super Mario Brothers, but I feel like they're milking it too much for what it's worth. And supposedly there's a rumor of a new side scroller coming out for the 3DS.
Oh, it's not a rumor. They announced
yeah, well,
that
yeah,
a while ago.
That's right. If that's another new Super Mario Brothers games, I'm literally gonna be pretty pissed off about that because how about they do a new Super Mario World? That's a totally different concept there that could be more fleshed out. Because we've seen the same backgrounds in New Super Mario Brothers already with the DS version and the Wii version, and then now this one, which actually for the demo they had for the new Super Mario Brothers Mii, I've heard was just more updated visually updated stages from the original New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii.
Yeah, that was just tech demo though. You
yeah.
know, it's gonna be. I'm sure it will be radically different than from what that was.
I'm hoping so because when I went from New Super Mario Brothers on DS to the Wii, I think I made it halfway through the game before I was just like, okay, it's just way too familiar in art style and stuff like that. So I feel like I just hope it's more different, such as Mario 64 to Mario Sunshine. They're both 3D Mario games, but they're very different. Mario Sunshine to Mario Galaxy, very, very, very different. I just hope they add new stuff to it to make it different. Like, I know on New Super Mario Brothers Wii, one of the things that pissed me off is that you literally got to ride Yoshi, like, 3 times in the game. One stage in the beginning and some other time way later on, and they really didn't make good use of that, like Mario World did, where Yoshi was like every other stage, and you could suck things up to make them fly or shoot fire and all this other cool stuff, and I feel like that layer of depth isn't in New Super Mario Brothers yet, which I'm hoping they do include in this one.
Yeah, when I first played that, I didn't know that Yoshi wasn't involved in it, and I was so disappointed when I finished the level with Yoshi and he just walked away, and he's like,
yeah.
Bye. I'm like, what? Where are you going?
I thought that was just as stupid as in Mario Galaxy 1, how there was actually a timed fire flower. And I was pretty happy when in Mario 3D Land you could actually keep your power-ups. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm just hoping that the next side-scrolling Mario game is radically different than what the previous ones have done so far. So,
all that being said, though, I absolutely loved New Super Mario Bros. Wii, mainly for the multiplayer. That was easily the most fun I've had playing a multiplayer game in probably years, if not ever, because it was just hilarious. If you haven't played that with friends, pick it up, play it with some friends, because it's just a great game. And I'm not going to be disappointed in the new Mario games if they are just 2D platformers like the new series, because 2D Mario goodness, I'll take it any day of the week. I mean,
I will too. There's just something I like about the style about the new Super Mario Brothers games. I know for me the music isn't even half as catchy as the regular Mario songs like Mario World and like Mario Brothers 3 and stuff like that. So I guess that just kind of bothers me a little bit, and just the overall style was cool at first, but I guess it just got really rehashed and repetitive for me when it came to New Super Mario Brothers Wii. So if they just used different color palettes and tile sets for the new games, I'll be fine with that. But if once again everything looks literally just like an HD version of what was previously done before, it's just gonna give me that same feeling I got when I played Super Mario 64 DS to the original Mario 64. Once I unlocked all the characters and stuff like that, and I made it to like Boo's Haunted Mansion, I just put the game down because like, all right, done this, seen that, too familiar, so it got boring for me from there on out.
Yeah, and Nintendo recently registered Super Mario 4 Capcom, so a lot of people think that's going to be the title of one of the new games. And if it is, I'm not expecting. I mean, I would expect something radically different from the new games, because they're not going to bring out Super Mario Brothers 4 without it being, pretty amazing. They don't sit on a
Yeah.
possible title for like how when was Super Mario Brothers 3? That was for the NES. Okay, they're
Yeah.
not sitting on
You
that
know,
for like 20 years. Okay.
And one of the interesting things that have been brought up into a lot of conversations about that is that in Japan, Super Mario World was actually Super Mario 4 for them.
Oh, really? I
So
never knew that.
yeah, neither did I. I actually found out about this, when the whole thing started up about, oh, there's going to be a new, that whole thing was brought up about, oh, Super Mario 4 was, licensed and whatnot. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Maybe in a way that's, maybe my dreams will come true. They'll finally make like a new Super Mario World game, or it could actually be actual Mario Brothers 4 for us, and they'll just rename it to something else in Japan. Or
Yeah,
if I
you know
need,
what? That totally confirms my first thought that they were just taking up the domain name, because why the hell not? Because
yeah,
that pretty much confirms it. There's no way that it's coming out that they're doing a Super Mario 4, because you got to think they're based out of Japan. That they're not going to make a Super Mario 4 if it's already out. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm just interested to see how things play out this year for Nintendo. Regardless, out of all my bitching about the new series, I'm pretty excited to see whatever it is. I have high hopes. Um, just Nintendo's been surprising me a lot lately, so I've been on a roller coaster ride with them where I'm disappointed, I'm excited, I'm disappointed, I'm excited. So I'm pretty sure this year at E3 they're gonna have a lot of cool stuff to show off, which is very soon. I'm very psyched about that. Um, and just once again, all the old stuff they're bringing back. Mario Tennis is coming out next month. We haven't seen a Mario Tennis on the Wii. The new Play Control doesn't count, 'cause that's just a rehash of the old game. But or the DS. We haven't seen a new one, since of course the GameCube and Game Boy Advance days. So I'm excited to see that franchise come back. I'm hoping to see Mario Golf again. Of course, F-Zero is up there in limbo somewhere. Pikmin is finally getting the sequel it needs. We might actually see, judging by the Zelda tech demo, we might actually see another game to a similar art style to Twilight Princess, which I think would look incredible in next generation graphics. Of course, this year they released Mario Party 9, so that series is brought back to life again. So I'm pretty excited to see what they're going to bring back from the past. Oh yeah, let's not forget Kid Icarus Uprising, which was an incredible title for the 3DS. 20 years past due, but hey, it's here. They've brought it back. I know Sakurai has said that he does want to do more with the series, so who knows? Maybe we're going to see entry to the franchise on the Wii U. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I can't wait.
yeah, and one final topic to talk about here. We want to talk about the upcoming PS3 RPG Ni no Kuni, which is a collaboration between Level 5 and the great animation studio, Studio Ghibli. So, Julian, what's your thoughts on Ni no Kuni?
Originally when it was announced, and a lot of the JRPG fans were, hyping about it, saying it looks cool and blah blah blah. It looked okay. I didn't really think much of it. And then, now, like I said, ever since I've played Tales of the Abyss on my 3DS, I'm like, where have JRPGs been in my life for the past, 4 years? Been indulging too much into these Western RPGs. I've gone back to looking at stuff for it, and I'm just absolutely excited about it. I've seen the English trailer for it. The voice acting is really well done. The story itself is what I expect from Studio Ghibli. Just the gameplay itself is just your standard JRPG fare, but it has such a interesting style to it. It's one of those things you have to watch the trailers to see for yourself. It seems to be very old school RPG in the way it does things. The battle system looks interesting. There's apparently these little monster creatures you can summon and use to fight for you and stuff like that. The story revolves around a little boy. What was it? His mother died and left him like some stuffed animal or something like that.
Yeah, and
And
his like
eventually,
tears brought it to life.
yeah, then the creature sends it to another world. The full title is Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, something like that. And then of course the White Witch is evil in the other world, and you have to take her down. So it's pretty stereotypical in its story, but the execution for what it looks like, it seems like you'll be able to deliver. I'm pretty hyped for it.
Yeah, it
Although
looks absolutely beautiful.
yes, it does. Which is one of the things I've been missing a lot about the JRPGs. It's not the drab brown and grays I'm seeing in all the Western RPGs now. It's just they're colorful. They're full of life. The music is just beautiful to listen to. There's actually a story to go along with it, that the game pushes you through and stuff like that. So I'm pretty psyched for it. Although I think
Yeah.
it's been pushed until next year, right?
Yeah, Q1 of 2013. What we're talking about is the PS3 version because sadly the DS game, which wasn't like the same game, it had like a slightly different story and it would tackle different stuff. It sadly isn't coming to North America,
I didn't
mainly
even know
because
there was a DS version.
yeah, it came with like a book, and the book was integral to the game apparently, and they were having trouble translating the book, so it looks like it's not coming to North America, which is a big bummer to me, since I'd like to own both versions since I'm a big Studio Ghibli fan. And Nathan, what's your thoughts on the Ni no Kuni trailer that you saw?
Well, I knew straight away it was Studio Ghibli. It's just got that Studio Ghibli feel to it. Just complete and utter madness.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and we're all looking forward to it, and I can guarantee you we'll be doing a lot of coverage of that game, especially since I'm such a Studio Ghibli slut. Just give it to me. And if you haven't seen the Secret World of Arietti, go buy it right now.
Don't go plugging movies. No.
I gotta plug it. I saw it
No.
in theaters. I cried. It was
I don't
beautiful.
give a fuck. No plugging movies.
Manly tears.
No.
Secret World of Arietti. Buy it now.
Shut up.
So we hope you enjoyed the first installment of Hard Reset, the Hard Reset show. Any closing comments, Julian?
No, pretty much.
I think you
pretty-
tackled like about 50,000 subjects, so I think we're good right there.
I think my favorite thing that I tackled was Lost Planet. I feel like I left out a lot on it, and it probably, to a lot of the hardcore fans, I probably misrepresented a little bit of it. But like I said before, it's one of those things you really have to try out to see. But once again, I am extremely psyched about Lost Planet 3. It's finally answered my long question of, it's a successful series. Why hasn't Capcom done anything else with it instead of killing Resident Evil with these spin-offs that they keep doing for it? I'm pretty excited for that, especially with the new developer.
Definitely.
I have respect for them. I have faith that they won't do anything to screw it up. So, we just got to give them a chance.
Definitely. And it's a prequel, too. I'm not sure if you touched on that.
Oh, yeah, I didn't touch on that either. Yeah, it's a prequel. One of the issues I already have with it, though, is I hate when prequels... let me see how I can say this. Okay, let me just start off with the acreage in Lost Planet 3 are supposed to be just as big as the Category G acreage in Lost Planet 2. I just feel like that makes continuity issues with the story, because in Lost Planet, which was story-wise is going to be after Lost Planet 3, the acreage weren't really that big. Well, yeah, there was a few big fucking acreage in that game, but, I just don't think it'll work its way properly into that, the big acreage and the super huge mechs that are supposed to be in it and stuff like that. So I feel like that's just going to create plot holes. But you know what? I'm not the developers, so, maybe they'll have their own explanation for that. So,
like the Star Wars prequels where everything looks so much more advanced, yet being a prequel.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I really hate the prequel sequel fad going on right now.
The prequel
So.
sequel. Would that just be the regular? Would that just be the first film? The prequel sequel.
The sequel prequel.
The sequel
Derp,
prequel.
I totally got that backwards.
Derp.
Shut up.
Nathan, you want to instill some knowledge and some final last words, buddy?
Tyler, you are Studio Ghibli's personal whore.
Yes, you. Hey, you know what, Nathan? You have no room to speak. You're like Namco's whore.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
So we hope you enjoyed the first episode of the Hard Reset Show. So have a great day. Peace. This has been a presentation of Hard Reset, your last resort for gaming analysis.